Hi all, welcome to BIS Academy, Science and Technology Audio Notes for Prelims and Mains, Unit 4, Part 2, Chapter 1. The unit which we're going to cover are Energy Policies and Programs of India. The topics covered under Chapter 1 are Integrated Energy Policy 2008, Integrated Energy Policy 2015, New Energy Policy Draft of Niti Aayog, Smart Grid, Challenges faced by smart grid in India and strategies to expand smart grid in India. The next topic is India's energy security scenario 2047, and we will talk about the 2047 portal or the tool or a calculator. It is called IESS calculator. After that, we will see energy demands of India, and next we will talk about strategies to meet the growing energy demands. So let's start with our first topic of the day. Integrated Energy Policy of Government of India 2008. After recognizing the importance of an integrated energy policy, the Government of India constituted an expert committee in 2004. For what? To develop a comprehensive energy policy. The Integrated Energy Policy, released in August 2006, addressed all aspects of energy, including energy security, access, availability, affordability, pricing, efficiency, and environment. The policy aims to meet energy demands at a least cost in a technically efficient, economically viable, environmentally sustainable manner. It contains a number of policies that contribute to avoiding greenhouse gas emissions as well. It received approval from the Cabinet in 2008. The policy helps us to achieve 8 to 9% growth rate for the next 25 years. The main objective of the policy is to have optimum utilization of domestic energy resources, exploration of energy resources in other countries to achieve energy security. What is the main objective of the policy? Integrated Energy Policy 2008 is to have optimum utilization of domestic energy resources and exploration of energy resources in our country? No, in other countries. So, exploration of energy resources in other countries to achieve energy security. Okay, let's look at broadly what are the objectives this policy covers. First objective, to phase out of capital subsidies by the end of 10th 5-year plan or the 10th plan linked to creation of renewable grid power capacity. 1. To phase out the capital subsidies by the end of 10th plan. That is the first objective. Second objective, the subsidies available on kerosene, cooking gas, electricity, renewable energies will continue, but only for people living below poverty line. The subsidy will be for the BPL. Okay. Third objective, requiring power regulators to seek alternative incentive structures that encourage utilities to integrate wind, small hydro, and other systems, and linking all such incentives to energy generated as opposed to capacity created. Simply put, encouraging alternative incentive structures. Fourth objective, requiring power regulators to mandate feed-in laws for renewable energy where appropriate as provided under the Electricity Act 2003. This policy also made a range of more specific recommendations in relation to a particular renewable energy sources, in particular mini hydro, wind, wood gasification power. Okay. In short, the fourth objective says requires the power regulators to mandate the feed from renewable energy sources as well. Okay. Let's look at fifth objective, improvement of infrastructure for natural gas production and utilization, achieving energy security by development of solar energy, developing natural gas biofuels as sustainable alternative by 2024-25. So it wants to improve the infrastructure for natural gas production, achieving energy security by development of solar energy, and developing natural gas and biofuels as alternate crude oil. The sixth objective is implementing programs that promote the use of biological resources for achieving energy security in rural areas. Okay, apart from this, the policy will be continuously reviewed, and if possible, necessary changes will be made out from time to time. The Energy Coordination Committee, under the chairmanship of Prime Minister, oversees the implementation of this policy. Okay, we have seen India's integrated energy policy 2008. So main objective is utilization of domestic energy resources and exploration of energy resources in other countries, and we have seen set of 6 objectives apart from the main objectives. The 6 objectives, first one is phasing out of capital subsidies. 2, the subsidies will be provided for BPL, for the people living below poverty line, right? 3, power regulators have to seek alternative incentive structures. 4, requiring power regulators to feed energy from renewable energy. 5, improve infrastructure for natural gas, solar energy, develop natural gas and biofuels as alternate crude oil. 5, use biological resources for 6, use biological resources to promote energy security. Okay, now let's look at India Energy Policy 2015. The Government of India formulated an integrated energy policy in 2015 with an objective of promoting renewable energy resources. The keyword is, in 2015, the objective is to promote renewable energy resources. What are renewable energies? Right, solar, wind, hydro, etc. Yeah. Okay, along with other energies. So it's mainly this policy mainly focuses on renewable energy plus other energy sources. The policy was formulated with the objective of providing electricity supply throughout the country, production of renewable energies and utilization. The policy aims at achieving 30,000 megawatts of new and renewable energy sources during the 12th 5-year plan. What is the aim? The policy aims at achieving additional 30,000 megawatts of renewable energy. 30,000 megawatts of new and renewable energy. That's what you have to remember. The policy aims to achieve additional 30,000 megawatts of new and renewable energy. Okay. What is the time frame? During 12th 5-year plan, right. The policy gave importance to expand solar energy in the country in the following ways. First way was establishing National Solar Mission. The second was providing subsidies to solar electricity production units. Third one is establishing solar parks. Okay, National Solar Mission, why is it implemented? It is implemented for the production of solar energy and expansion of solar thermal applications throughout the country. I will recap. National Solar Mission is implemented for the production of solar energy and expansion of solar thermal applications throughout the country. Okay. So you understood this policy 2015. It mainly aimed at adding 30,000 megawatts of new and renewable energy resources during the 12th 5-year plan, apart from the normal energy resources. This mainly gave importance to solar energy, so that they established National Solar Mission, gave subsidies for solar electricity production units, and establishing solar parks across the country. Okay, now let's look at the National Energy Policy draft by Niti Aayog. Okay, when was Niti Aayog established? 1st January 2015, right. It is National Institute for Transformation of India. Okay, let's come back to our topic. New Energy Policy by Niti Aayog. With the objective of achieving self-sufficiency in energy sector and producing energy as per demands, a new national energy policy was drafted by Niti Aayog. When compared to the earlier policies, this policy has taken into consideration new issues which were not identified earlier. The National Energy Policy was formulated from taking into account the changes of solar technologies. So it took into account the changes, and the new issues, like what impact of climate change, ambitious target in renewable energy sector, rural electrification, achieving electrification in all the villages by 2019, providing 24/7 electricity throughout the country by 2022, Major objectives of the national energy policy draft. It mainly focuses on four objectives. First one is providing electricity to all at an affordable price. 2. Achievement of effective energy security. 3. Working for sustainable energy production. 4. Achieving economic progress throughout or through energy security. Let's repeat the four objectives of National Energy Policy Draft by Niti Aayog. It focuses on providing electricity at an affordable price. 2. Achievement of effective energy security. 3. Working for sustainable energy production. What is it? Working for sustainable energy production. 4. Achieving economic progress through energy security. Okay, now let's look at smart grid. What are the advantages of smart grid? What are the challenges of being faced or developing a smart grid? And we'll also discuss the strategies that are suitable for India for developing this smart grid. Okay, so what is smart grid? It is a modernized grid that allows or enables bidirectional flow of energy and uses two-way communication and control capabilities that will lead to an array of new functions and applications. Okay, so in other words, it is an electrical grid which includes a variety of operational and energy measures, including smart meters, smart appliances, renewable energy resources, efficient resources. Okay. For example, you have a solar plant, there is a thermal plant, and there is a wind energy system, and there is a nuclear power plant, industrial plants, offices in the cities, your smart homes, and electric vehicles. If all of these are connected to a network, connected to an electrical grid, it is called smart grid. I will explain again. What is a smart grid? Smart grid is an electrical grid where all the smart technologies are connected, like your thermal power plant, solar power plant, wind power plant, nuclear power plant, your smart homes, smart offices, and electrical vehicle cars. All of these are connected to an electrical grid. Then this becomes a smart grid. Okay, what are the advantages of the smart grid? It increases the power grid capacity according to rising demand of electricity. 2. It enables each and every family and commercial establishment to control the consumption of electricity as well as even regulate the power bill based on the requirements. So thus, it further helps us in saving electricity from excessive and unnecessary usage. Third objective or third advantage. Smart grid helps us by sending emergency signals on the conditions of fluctuations in voltage. This further helps us in promoting electrical and electronic devices like television, audio, computer systems. They will be protected from being affected. Thus, smart grid helps us or helps them from uninterrupted and regular flow of current. Fourth advantage. Smart grid helps us in real-time troubleshooting, especially during any problem that arises in electricity supply and household electrification by providing accurate information. Thus, it enables us to solve the problem without identifying where actually the problem lies. Okay. So, what are the advantages? It increases the power grid capacity. 2. It helps us in controlling the consumption. 3. It helps us in sending emergency signals. 4. It helps us in real-time troubleshooting, especially if any problem arises. Okay, what are the challenges being faced by the smart grids in India? India badly needs a smart grid, taking into account the continuous increase in energy demand. As on March 31st, 2018, the installed power capacity of the country is 340 gigawatts. It is the installed power capacity of the country is 340 gigawatts, but demand had already reached 700 gigawatts. Just imagine, demand was 700 gigawatts, but our capacity was 340 gigawatts. Apart from this, the transmission losses are tuned to 24 to 26% of the total installed energy of the country. So, when you supply this electricity, there is a loss of electricity that is around 24 to 25%. So, hence, a smart grid is very essential for the country like India to prevent losses. Plus, at the same time, there are certain challenges that need to be overcome to establish smart grid in India. The first challenge is there is a lot of obsolescence still continues in India in the energy sector. What is obsolescence? Use of old technology. Next, policymakers are not able to understand the benefits of the smart grid. So, hence, they are not able to take the necessary steps for developing the smart grid. Third is there are no separate entities within the power ministry which are entrusted with the responsibilities of identifying the need for developing smart grid in the country. So, there is no separate entity under power ministry to develop smart grid. 4. India lacks technological progress to immediately shift to smart grid. 5. There is a huge dearth of investment. So, investment is needed. 6. The lack of skilled manpower. 7. There is a looming threat from cyber attacks, and lack of clarity on data privacy is a big obstacle in the way of developing and utilizing smart grid. Okay. So, now let's look at the strategies to develop and expand smart grid in India. There is a need to speed up the political, financial, and technical policies and frameworks that promote faster development of smart grid technologies in its expansion. That is first strategy. Second, there is a need for constructing society values that can help in embracing the smart grid and related technologies. Third is providing complete awareness on the benefits of smart grid so that it can encourage investments in smart grid. Fourth, public awareness, especially among people, students, and researchers and scientists, should be increased, especially on the benefits that are associated with smart grid. 4. New building codes should be deployed so as to promote the deployment of smart grid and consistently enhance the cyber security to prevent any type of cyber attacks. Fifth one is emphasis should be given on enhancing the grid storage of the country as well as continuously upgrading the human resources ability in identifying and solving the challenges of smart grid. So, we have seen what is a smart grid, advantages of smart grid. What are the advantages? Increases the power grid capacity, controls consumption, troubleshoots, especially during emergencies, sends emergency signals. Right after that, we have seen challenges, obsolescence of technologies, no initiation in the policies, there is no separate entity for implementation within power ministry, lack of technological progress, huge dearth in investment, lack of skilled manpower, threat from cyber attacks. And the strategies which we have discussed are speed up political, financial, technical policies and frameworks, need for constructing societal values, public awareness, encourage more investments, new building codes should be developed, cyber security should be enhanced, and upgrading our human resource ability. Okay, now let's look at India's energy security scenario 2047. In short, it is called IESS 2047 calculator. What is this? This is an open source web based tool. It is a calculator. The India Energy Security Scenario 2047 calculator is an open source web based tool. Okay, what does this web based tool help or aim at? It aims at exploring a range of potential energy scenarios of India for diverse energy demands and supply sectors leading up to 2047. So, this analyzes the supply demand of energy and the supply of energy scenario for 2047. By the 2047, how in India we are going to utilize, how much energy we have, what is the demand of energy and what is the supply of energy, how much we are getting from coal, how much we are getting from wind, how much energy we are producing for nuclear power. So, this portal or the web based tool helps to see the scenario. Okay. Niti Aayog launched the second version recently. It explores the possible scenarios, possible energy scenarios, especially across energy supply sectors such as solar, wind, biofuels, oil, gas, coal, and nuclear and energy demand sectors such as transport, industry, demand of the agriculture, demand of cooking, lighting appliances. Okay, what will this model allow or help us? Model will help and allow users to interactively make energy choices and explore a range of outcomes for the country from carbon dioxide emissions, and import dependencies to land use. This IESS 2047 calculator, that is India Energy Security Scenario 2047 or 2047 calculator. Why so particular to 2047? That would be the 100th year since we got independence, since 1947. Okay, the IESS 2047 calculator has been already being playing an instrumental role in shaping India's energy policy. Okay, so this is already helping in framing India's energy policy. With the launch of second version, one can look forward to a more comprehensive policy discourse on India's future energy planning by policymakers, academicians, private sector and other stakeholders. The interactive tool will offer policymakers to create an energy pathway which is secure and address the needs of the people, keeping in view the integrity of the climate. It will support India's future energies. It will help in planning and help the country to become self-sufficient in energy. It will support the government's vision of achieving power for all and 175 gigawatts of energy from renewables by 2022. And then rural electrification. It will support in reducing the import dependency. The purpose of IESS tool is to engage various stakeholders in the country's energy planning and facilitate informed debates at different levels. This tool will enable policymakers and parliamentarians to make a more secure and sustainable energy future for India. Okay, this has been developed in consultation with multiple stakeholders such as think tanks, industry bodies, research organizations, UK Department for Energy and Climate Change, partnered with Niti Aayog. More than 20 countries now have developed their own calculators. They have their own energy calculators. So, China has one, Bangladesh has one, South Africa has their own energy calculator. Similarly, we have our own India Energy Security Scenario 2047 calculator. Okay, now let's go to the next topic. We will analyze the energy demands of the country. For our country, India. Energy is the backbone of the country for socio-economic growth. Energy is vital source for economic development along with inclusiveness. Production and supply of energy according to the demands is highly critical to the sustainable development of a country. The country's energy demands are continuously rising. We all know that. And hence there is a need to forecast the future energy needs. Though the energy needs are rising, the demand is continuously rising. So we need to forecast the future energy needs. Why? So that we can it helps in designing and implementing energy policies. Okay. India's energy sector is highly diversified. With coal, we have natural gas, hydroelectricity, atomic energy as conventional energy. And recent decades, there is a great emphasis on development of renewable energies like solar, wind, bioenergy, small hydropower in the country. The Ministry of New and Renewable Energies is also promoting the development of new energies. What are the new energies? Hydrogen, geothermal, ocean energy, battery operated vehicles. So, India energy sector is a highly diversified sector, of which coal is the backbone of India's energy sector, closely to 50 to 60%, that is 59% to be precise, of the total installed power capacity of the country is coal based thermal. Further, India is highly dependent on the crude oil imports, and a small fraction of coal is also being imported. Hence, India is mainly dependent on conventional sources of energy. The share of renewable energy is in installed power capacity is less and needs to be improved. So, mostly we are depending on conventional energy sources. India stands third in the world in energy production and fourth in utilization. India stands third in the world energy production and fourth in utilization, but has a very low per capita energy availability. So, per individual, the energy availability is very less. Even though we stand third in the energy production and fourth in utilization. Okay. The primary energy utilization of the country in 2015 was 700.5 million tons of oil equivalent. By 2035, it is estimated to reach 1516, that is 1516 million tons of oil equivalent. Okay, it's going to double from 2015 to 2035 within 20 years. The International Energy Agency, that is IEA, estimated that India's primary energy utilization may rise up to 2% of the world's total energy utilization. Of the total world's energy utilization, India's energy utilization may rise to 2%. Who said this? International Energy Agency. According to IEA, by the end of 2015, India became the third, overcoming Japan in crude oil consumption. India's energy demands are increasing day by day and hence cannot completely depend on the conventional energies like coal, crude oil, etc. Further, India has to meet its obligations in reducing the greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gas emissions should be reduced as a part of its commitment to which agreement? Please comment below. Which agreement is India is connected coming to energy? It is Paris Agreement. Okay. Even though India achieved complete rural electrification by April 28, 2018, in some state exams, they might, especially in prelims, they might ask the dates. So, India achieved complete rural electrification by April 28, 2018. So, the date is April 28, 2018. It is easy to remember. 2018 has 2 and 8 in the end, and April has 28. It's a date. April 28, 2018. India has achieved complete rural electrification. The last village being Leisang in Manipur. Okay, we all have a fundamental doubt: is India completely electrified? Yes, we have certain doubts. We might think that some villages still might not have access to electricity. The same way, World Bank still estimates that 31 million households in the country do not have electricity. Okay. So, what are the energy demands of our country? According to World Energy Outlook, the report, World Energy Outlook report, which is given by International Energy Agency, by 2040, India's coal consumption may increase up to 1300 million tons. So, it becomes the second largest coal consuming nation after China. In addition to power distribution, power production, the coal is largely used in iron, steel, cement industries on a continuous basis. For this, India needs 2.6 lakh megawatts of energy only from coal by 2040. Hence, the demand for coal may continuously increase in India. So, to summarize, we will depend largely on coal. Up to 300 million tons of energy is required. Okay, India stands third in crude oil, not production, imports. India stands third in crude oil imports. By 2040, India may use 6 to 10 million barrels of crude oil. By 2040, 250 million new cars, 185 million new two-wheelers or three-wheelers, 30 million new trucks, plants may ply on the roads. Okay, there is going to be a huge demand for crude oil. How much? Up to 10 million barrels of crude oil by 2040. Okay. Energy consumption in construction, transport, agriculture, industrial needs is estimated to increase at 3.3% every year. How is the energy consumption being increased? It's increasing at a rate of 3.3% every year. So, by 2040, the demand would reach to 1275, that is 1275 million tons of oil equivalent by 2040. This would be almost equal to the energy demands of European Union. So, India's energy consumption and European Union's, all the 29 countries, I think so, energy consumption will be equal by 2040. The Indian urban population may add additional 315 millions to the existing 377 millions by 2040, resulting in the increased energy demands for electricity. There will be increased demand for LPG, crude oil. Due to inadequate supply of LPG, 2/3 of the Indian population is still dependent on firewood. Because we don't have LPG, we are still dependent on firewood and other biomass energies. So, LPG demand may rise to up to 85%. The industrial energy utilization is expected to increase 217 million tons of oil equivalent to 691, that was almost 700 million tons by 2040. Okay. The highest demand in industrial sector is from iron, steel. The energy consumption in total would be around 29% by 2040. By which industries? By 2013, the energy consumption from iron and steel industries is around 21% in 2013. The same energy consumption from iron and steel industries would be 29%, that is almost 30% by 2040. So you can imagine how many industries are going to be established in iron and steel. Okay, even though the share of agriculture sector in GDP is reducing, but still more than half of the country's population are dependent on agriculture. The consumption of diesel and crude oil in agriculture are 15% and 18%. The consumption of diesel is 15%, consumption of crude oil is 18%. The agricultural energy consumption, which is around 27 million tons of oil equivalent, is expected to increase to 50 million tons of oil equivalent by 2040. The International Energy Agency estimated that 17% of the total world's energy demand between 2013 to 2040 will be from India. Okay. The per capita energy consumption is expected to increase from 710 kilowatts per hour to 2000 kilowatts per hour by 2040. Still, it is well below the world average. Okay. So with this, we can understand how much there will be increased demand for coal, crude oil, and the increase for LPG, and agriculture sector also needs. There will be a rise for the energy demand from agriculture sector. So okay, now let's look at the strategies how to approach these demands. The total installed power capacity of the country is 340 gigawatts, but the demand has already exceeded 700 gigawatts. You can, in exam in your mains, you can write approximation numbers. You can say 350 gigawatts or approximately is the by total installed power capacity of the country, but there is a demand for 700 or double of it. Okay, hence country like India should give more emphasis on energy decentralization, especially to rural and remote areas of the country. There is a need to invest more in the development of renewable and new energy resources. India has great opportunity in this area. The development of renewable and new energy sources are linked directly to achievement of energy security in rural areas. For this, Government of India launched National Solar Mission in the year 2010. National Solar Mission was launched in the year 2010. In 2010, we have launched National Solar Mission. What is the objective? Achieving 20 gigawatts of solar energy by 2022. Have we reached this objective? I have explained it in many videos before. Yes, we have reached this 20 gigawatt solar energy target before 2022. So that is why we have raised the target to 100 gigawatts in 2014. So that we have to achieve 100 gigawatts of solar power by 2022. Okay. So when was the solar mission launched? It was launched in the year 2010. Okay. There is a need for promoting innovation in the areas of wind, solar energy, especially which can be achieved only by development of human resources. So what are we talking mainly about? We are talking about the strategies to meet the energy demands. Okay. So we have said there is India's production capacity or the total installed power capacity is 340 gigawatts, but we have a demand of 700 gigawatts. So there is a need to invest more, and we have talked about National Solar Mission. Now we are saying we should have to promote innovation in wind and solar energies. Okay. Since the energy demands are increasingly identified in the industrial and agriculture sectors, there is a need for designing new missions that can achieve energy security in these particular sectors. And rural energy sector can be achieved by achieving more emphasis on establishment of biomass power plants as well as expanding the biofuel plantations along the wastelands. So we have to establish biomass power plants and biofuel plantations in wastelands, especially in rural areas. The Ministry of Power has estimated that India can attract investments up to 224 billion in the coming 4 to 5 years in the energy sector. This is definitely a great opportunity for India for judiciously using such investment in expanding the power production. We have to reduce the transmission losses, expand the grid connected power supply, and we have to collaborate with all infrastructural facilities. Okay, let's recap the entire class. We have started with integrated energy policy. We have seen the objectives of it. What are the objectives? What is the main objective? The main objective is exploration of energy resources in other countries, yes, and utilization of domestic energy resources. After that, we have seen certain objectives under this 2008 policy, Integrated Energy Policy 2008, that is phasing out of capital subsidies and providing subsidies only to BPL, requiring power regulators to seek alternative incentives, provide energy from renewable sources, improve infrastructure for natural gas and solar, develop natural gas and biofuels as alternate crude oil, and use biological resources for achieving energy. These are the objectives of Integrated Energy Policy 2008. So now let's look at 2015 energy policy. This 2015 energy policy mainly emphasized on promoting renewable energy resources along with other energy resources. This had an objective aim of producing or adding 30,000 megawatts of new and renewable energy during the 12th 5-year plan. For this, what did they focus on? They focused on establishing National Solar Mission in the year 2010 to expand and implement the production of solar energy and expansion of solar thermal applications, and providing subsidies to solar electricity production units and establishing solar parks across the country. After that, we have seen a draft policy of Niti Aayog. When was Niti Aayog established? It was established in the year January 1st, 2015. What does Niti mean? I have explained it. You abbreviate it in the comments below. The main objectives are providing at an affordable price, achieving energy security, working on sustainable energy production, and achieving economic progress through energy security. After that, we have seen smart grid. Smart grid is electrical grid, which includes variety of operational and energy measures like smart meters, smart appliances, renewable energy resources, and energy efficient resources. The advantages of the smart grid are increased power grid capacity, controls consumption, real-time troubleshooting, sending emergency signals. What are the challenges faced? Transmission losses, obsolescence in technology, policymakers are not able to understand the benefits. India lacks technological progress. There are no separate entity within the Power Ministry to execute smart grid. Lack of skilled human resources, and threat from cyber attacks. The strategies to develop smart grid in India: speed up political, financial, technical policies and frameworks, need for constructing societal values, creating awareness, increasing investment, encouraging public-private investments, building new building codes, enhancing cyber security, and upgrade human resource ability. Okay. And the next topic which I have seen is India's Energy Security Scenario 2047 Calculator. What is it? It's a tool. It's an open source web-based tool. It engages various stakeholders in the countries for energy planning and facilitates informed debates at different levels. This will enable policymakers and parliamentarians to make more secure and sustainable energy future for India. This tool also helps users to develop a secure future pathway and suggest current policy intervention. So people like us users can suggest current policy interventions for the same. This has been developed in consultation with multiple stakeholders. For our country, UK's Department of Energy and Climate partnered with Niti Aayog in this project. So this model will allow us to make energy choices and explore a range of outcomes for the country's carbon dioxide emissions and import dependency land utilization. Okay, do other countries have a similar tool? If yes or no, you reply in the comments below. If they have, which countries have this energy security tool? I have given examples. I gave examples for this one. You can do your Google research or you can reply from your lecture as well. Okay, and then we have seen the energy demands of the country. So mostly we are coal dependent, but our energy sector is highly diverse. We have coal, natural gas, hydroelectricity, atomic. Those are the conventional. And renewable, we have solar, wind, bioenergy, small hydropower. And coming to new energies, we are promoting hydrogen, geothermal, ocean energy, battery operated. But mostly we are dependent on coal, that is up to 60%. So when did we achieve complete rural electrification? What is the date, month and year? April 28th, 2018 is the date for complete rural electrification. The last village was Laisang in Manipur, but World Bank said there are still 31 million households in the country that do not have electricity supply. And then we have seen the report, World Energy Outlook report given by International Energy Agency 2040, and we have spoken about different energy targets for India. And then next we have discussed the strategies to meet this demand. So what is the total installed power capacity of the country? 340 gigawatts. But what is the demand? 700 gigawatts. Okay, for this we have to increase our efficiency in solar, wind, biomass, and focus on new energies. In rural areas, we have to establish biomass power plants, biofuel plantations across the wastelands. We also have to attract investments, foreign investments in this area. Okay, with this, we're going to end our today's lecture. Thank you for listening. If you have any queries or need any help, you can mail us to biasacademy@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.